Hi friends, Colby Sharp here. I am super excited to talk to you today about 10 picture books. I made a video sharing the first 10 picture books that I read my kids. And a few people have asked if I was going to share the next 10 picture books. And we read multiple picture books most days, at least one picture book every day. So I don't want to share every single picture book that I share over the year. That just overwhelms me. But what I thought would be fun is that if I shared 10 picture books each month that I shared with my students. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you 10 more books that I read in September, and then going through the year, hopefully I'll be able to make a video once a month sharing 10 picture books that I loved. Kick it off with Reynolds The Dot. So many people know this book. So many people love this book. So many of us have celebrated Dot Day and celebrating our children's creativity, celebrating their desire to make their mark, and just the love of creating and being who you are. One of the most special books. I will read this book every year that I teach. It's so darn good. Every kid should get this book read to them every single year. I don't care how young or how old they are. We all need to hear Vashti's stories. The next book is a brand new book that I got in the mail. So thank you to the publisher, Simon & Schuster, for sending Poco and the Drum. It's by Matthew Forsyth, I think is how you say his name. I read it and I thought it was super funny. So I read it to my students and they loved it. They loved Matthew's art. They loved the story. There's this really funny part. Poco is this frog who gets a drum and drives her parents crazy. So she goes off and people start following her and following the music, and other band members join. It's just a super fun book and the kids loved it. Super fun to read aloud. And that got me thinking, well, I love Matthew's art. And I loved it first that I can remember and that I can recall in The Brilliant Deep, which was written by Kate Messner, Rebuilding the World's Coral Reefs. This beautiful nonfiction book of Ken Niedermeyer just talks about the coral reefs and rebuilding them and the work that Ken has done to find a way to grow coral reefs and then through adhesive, plant it on dying coral reefs. It's amazing. And we did a Skype visit the other week with a scientist in Toronto who is studying invertebrates in rivers, city rivers, and how you can tell based on the invertebrates how well the river is doing. So my kids are super interested in the planet and super interested in just the things that are going on underwater. Brilliant Deep, so good. I need to read more nonfiction. That's one thing I definitely noticed in looking at all of the books that I read my students, and definitely need more nonfiction read aloud. So I actually read this one today, the day I'm filming it, September 30th. We've been studying, practicing, summarizing, doing some review with how to summarize a story, because a lot of my friends want to just tell me every single thing that happened, or they have a hard time thinking of anything that happened. So a book that we used to do that was John Clausen's I Want My Hat Back. John is a classroom favorite. Sam and Dave Dig a Hole, written by Mac Barnett, might be their favorite book that we've read so far. And I was so surprised some of them had never read this book. And this is one of those books that is so much fun to read aloud for the first time. So it's fun to read about Bear and Rabbit, revisit that tale, the endless, timeless, beautiful story. I Want My Hat Back. Oh, this book is so fun. Skulls by Blair Thornbow. I'm sorry, I'm really bad at names. By Blair and Scott Campbell. So amazing. This is the story, not a story, it just teaches us about skulls and what they are and why they are the way that they are and why they weigh what they weigh. And let me just show you a couple illustrations. It's just so funny. See right here. So tell your friends, nice skull, gives your face a good shape. They love this one. Top 5 books so far this year. Absolutely loved it. We've been doing some identity work using Sarah Ahmed's book, Being the Change. And we spent some time studying our own names. And before we did that, and sharing the names of our stories, but before we did that, we read Alma and How She Got Her Name by Juana Martinez Neal. I love this book. And I loved my students' stories of how they got their names. They were so fun. I have 5 kids, so I have lots of examples that I can provide for them. But this is a really sweet story, and it led to a lot of fun in class. So great book. One of my all-time favorites, The Other Side by Jacqueline Woodson and E.B. Lewis. It's just the best. It's just one of the best picture books ever. There's probably not a class in the world that couldn't benefit from reading and discussing this book. that fence in the middle between those two kids' yards, a pretty powerful thing. And when the kids learn that fences aren't just for keeping things in or keeping things out, but maybe sitting on top of, it's just magic. Just magic. Aaron Becker's Journey, Caldecott honor-winning wordless picture book. Another one that like so many of my kids had not read. See, the last 2 years, I think I mentioned this in other videos, I have been teaching kids that I already had because I went from 3rd to 5th grade. And so many of my favorites I didn't read the last 2 years. And thank goodness that I got a chance to read this again and we got to experience it. And then they wanted to read Quest and Return. They just loved this book. The art is breathtaking. The story is magical. Oh my goodness. Journey. Michael Ian Black and Debbie Ridpath always. I'm sad. You know, emotions are hard. Feelings are hard. Have a hard time understanding them. Have a hard time kind of figuring them out. And anytime we can read books about them, especially a book that tells a kid it's okay to be sad, I think it's a really important message. So we read books like this and we talk about it, and I think it makes them feel okay a little bit more, maybe a little bit. So beautiful book. I'm sad. And then finally, My Poppy Has a Motorcycle by Isabel Quintero and illustrated by Zeke Pena. I love the art. I love the story. Just look at this story. The story of this girl and her father and the ride that they go on his motorcycle. It's beautiful. We use this book in Writer's Workshop. I can't remember off the top of my head what the lesson was, but we pulled some of the lines in here to help us with our own lines. I would love to know what picture books you're sharing with your readers, because I have to read a lot of books this year, so I need some help thinking of more titles. So leave them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an awesome-tastic day and happy reading.